Octopath Traveler is a wonderful, underrated open-world game that has a unique HD 2D graphics style, excellent turn-based combat, and very enjoyable customisable gameplay. Following the release of Octopath Traveler 2, gamers are either playing Octopath for the first time or returning to relive the adventure and discover new things that they might have missed. Octopath Traveler has high replayability, owing primarily to the fact that the game has 8 different characters. Each character has unique storylines, personalities, combat abilities, talents, passive skills, weapons, and ways of interacting with NPCs through path actions across the vast land of Orstera. With so many party setup variations possible, it can be difficult to know what the best party setup is, particularly with the introduction of a certain mechanic later in the game. Truth be told, there is no wrong party setup, but after watching this video, you will hopefully have gained an understanding of how to optimise your party in such a way that fills all possible combat and path action shortfalls. Hello, I'm Heather at Amalgamingle, and today I want to go over the best party setup in Octopath Traveler. Please note that to give the best advice, I will need to discuss gaming mechanics that are incrementally introduced as you progress. So, if you don't want any gameplay spoilers, then please revisit this video once you have at least unlocked all the tabs in the menu screen. So, for those that don't mind a few spoilers to help them get a good head start, here are 3 things that you need to know when choosing your main character and setting up your Octopath Dream Team. Firstly, the 8 characters each represent one of 8 character classes known as jobs: Scholar, Apothecary, Cleric, Dancer, Hunter, Warrior, Thief, and Merchant. Secondly, each of these classes, or jobs, can also be unlocked as a secondary job that you can assign to characters so that they have 2 different character classes attached to them. This, of course, widens their combat abilities through skills you can unlock by spending JP, or job points, awarded for winning battles parallel to money and experience. Secondary jobs can be unlocked by locating and interacting with job shrines dotted around the world. Knowing that you can assign secondary jobs can greatly inform decision making when choosing your A-team party members. Thirdly, each character has a path action, which refers to the ways in which each character interacts with NPCs. You will soon realise that path actions have been paired together, with 2 of the 8 characters always being able to use their path actions to accomplish the same thing. The only difference being that one of those 2 path actions will be considered rogue, while the other is considered noble. Rogue path actions can decrease your reputation in towns if you are caught performing them, and once your reputation is depleted, you will not be able to perform further path actions until you spend money at an inn to restore your reputation. I find it best to pair path actions together in my mind based on what they accomplish, and assign secondary jobs to characters in a way that ensures there are no path action and combat deficits in my party. Part of the fun of Octopath is experimenting with different loadouts to see what party setup works best for you. However, there are ways of maximising your party's potential by utilising these job shrines and assigning them to characters who have a natural affinity with that job. Additionally, whatever starting character you choose can be impactful, since you cannot swap out that party member until you fully complete their quest line. This leaves only 3 open party member slots. When you follow a character's storyline, you only have 2 open slots, since you must have that character in your party. So, now that we know the basics, let's talk about the 4 best party members and what secondary jobs complements them the most. Personally, I always choose Cyrus the Scholar from Atlasdam as my main dude. Cyrus is basically a stave-wielding elemental mage who can use ice, fire and lightning magic to inflict heavy damage to single or multiple enemies. His command over the elements in battle, coupled with his ability that identifies enemy weaknesses, are very valuable. His best elemental attacks are the ones that target all enemies on the battlefield, such as Blizzard, Firestorm and Lightning Blast, which causes high damage to even enemies with no elemental weakness. One of the biggest perks of having Cyrus in your party is being able to reveal enemy weaknesses using his Analyze skill during battles and his talent of Study Foe, which automatically reveals one weakness upon entering a battle. A very useful talent to have rather than going into battle completely blind and depleting magic, known as SP or spell power, trying to discover a weakness through trial and error. Furthermore, if you encounter an enemy multiple times, then each time Cyrus will identify an additional weakness, since the weaknesses already discovered carry over to all other battles with the same creature. Cyrus is a powerful mage in his own right, and I always assign him the secondary job of apothecary to make him an axe wielder so that he has some decent physical attacks also. The apothecary job is Alfin's main character class, which can be unlocked as a secondary job at the Shrine of the Healer in East Saintsbridge. Alfin's talent is the ability to concoct items, but unfortunately this talent is Alfin's and Alfin's alone, making apothecary as a secondary job not very impressive. Despite Alfin's concoct talent, I would still not choose him for my A team, primarily because concoct is most useful for creating healing items, and the role of party healer can be better filled elsewhere. Although Cyrus is a good fit for the cleric and merchant secondary jobs, I would not give Cyrus a secondary job that would unevenly stack him with power. This might be a good idea in a game with live action combat, but in a game like this with turn-based combat, it is better to evenly spread your offensive in battles across all active party members, instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. I would advise embracing this approach when assigning secondary jobs to all other characters also. Scholars and apothecaries can both perform investigative path actions to gain information from NPCs that allows you to complete quests, learn secrets, and reveal hidden items. Alfin's noble path action of Inquire can be used without consequence, whereas Cyrus's rogue path action of Scrutinize, whilst accomplishing the same thing, can decrease your reputation if caught. Even though Inquire is consequence-free, it is still better to have Cyrus as your permanent character, since you can easily add Alfin to your party just in towns to bypass any backlash of performing the rogue action of Scrutinize. When it comes to Cyrus, the chances of needing apothecary skills and scholar skills at the same time in battle are very slim. While Alfin's Last Stand skill deals a large amount of damage to all foes with an axe, Cyrus's magic is still stronger in comparison. Most enemies weak to axe damage also tend to have at least one elemental weakness that, if not covered by what Cyrus has in his arsenal, will be covered by other party members, leaving Cyrus free to use his analytical talents and the apothecary axe during his turns. When it comes to passive skills, the best ones for a scholar include evasive maneuvers, which reduces the amount of random encounters, percipience, which prevents your party from being surprised by foes, and most importantly, vim and vigor, which enables auto HP regeneration each turn during battles. The best apothecary passive skills include Hale and Hearty, which grants an additional 500 HP to the equipping character, and Heightened Healing, which grants an extra 30% HP when healed or restored. Furthermore, apothecaries have an unlockable skill called Vivify, which revives an incapacitated ally, and since Cyrus can potentially have a lot of HP and HP regen, that makes him a good person to have this ability. Characters can only equip 4 passive support skills at any time, but you can swap them out to suit the situation and create a very desirable build. Note that the Scholar secondary job can be found in the Shrine of the Sage in Western Noble Court Flats. Like every game that has multiple party members, it is always wise to have a fantastic healer in your dream team, and that is where Ophelia the Cleric comes in. Ophelia is basically a stave-using light mage who can perform light-based attacks and provide strong healing support. Her best skills are Luminescence, which deals light-based damage to all foes on the battlefield, Heal More, which heals all party members at once, and Revive, which brings an unconscious ally back to life. Her passive support skills include Inner Strength, which increases the equipping character's SP by 50, Evil Ward, which increases the party's success rate when fleeing battles, and Saving Grace, which allows Ophelia to be healed above her maximum HP. You can even give her a large Olive of Life, as she will revive with a whopping 9,999 HP. There's nothing more annoying when your healer keeps being killed, since you need them to stay alive to heal everyone else. Saving Grace keeps Ophelia alive to support the rest of the team, and she is my first port of call after completing Chapter 1 of my main character's story. Since enemies are rarely going to be weak against light and dark based attacks at the same time, I always assign Ophelia the secondary job of Dancer, and I assign Primrose the Dancer with the secondary job of Cleric, giving both contrasting enchantresses an interesting duality. Dancer is Primrose's starter character class with daggers as a main weapon and the ability to inflict dart-based damage on enemies, using attacks such as Night Ode. Dancers are an interesting character class that can also boost an ally's elemental attacks, using the skill Peacock Strut. Since my main dude is always Cyrus, it is useful to always have the ability to boost elemental attacks in your party, and by assigning Ophelia and Primrose each other's classes as a secondary job, there is always one character with healing and light and dark abilities in the team and one benched. Ophelia and Primrose can also both perform enlisting path actions. That allows you to temporarily conscript an NPC to your service, so that you can complete quests and or later summon them to assist in battle. Ophelia can use her noble path action of Guide to recruit and summon NPCs in battle with their own free will. Primrose can use her rogue path action Allure to do the same thing using hypnotism. Although outside Primrose's questline, I'm not sure why you would opt to hypnotise instead of Guide, since hypnotism is considered a rogue path action with consequences. By granting Ophelia the secondary job of Dancer, you also gain the second Wind ability to recover SP each turn, which ensures that your party healer always has the spell power needed to heal companions. The Dancer secondary job can be found in the Shrine of the Lady of Grace in northern Wellspring Sands, and the Cleric job can be found in western Still Snow Wilds in the Shrine of the Flamebearer. The third slot for my A team will be filled by Therion the Thief, and by Therion I do not mean a demon blight munching Therion, high five to my fellow Tales of fans. His main weapons are swords and daggers, and he is the only character in the game who can open locked chests, which might make him look like an appealing permanent starting character, but I would recommend not choosing him. I chose Therion in my first playthrough and regretted it, after later discovering that his main strengths are derived in providing support to other party members, rather than being a combat frontrunner. Therion does have a single fire attack called Wildfire, but his main combat strengths are to decrease enemy attacks using his Shackle Foe skill, and decrease enemy defense using his Armor Corrosion ability. Therion's rogue path action Steal is very useful, but I tend to walk away from a pickpocketing opportunity if the risk of getting caught is too high, and I later return when the risk level decreases in tandem with my levelling up. Therion and Tressa both have procurement path actions that let you acquire items from NPCs in different ways. This is why I give Tressa and Therion each other's character classes as secondary jobs. Therion's Steal path action naturally lets you take actions without paying and is obviously considered rogue, whereas Tressa's purchase path action is noble and lets you buy things from NPCs. These path actions are self-explanatory, however it is better to always use Therion's Steal path action if you can get away with it due to how cruel this game is when it comes to item pricing. To be very honest with you, I found little use for Tressa. Tressa's merchant job comes with a focus on finding and spending money. Her talent is Eye for Money, which finds random money around the world. Her passive skill of Growing Trees grants more money at the end of battles, and she can use hired help during battles to summon aid, for an unreasonably high price, and the fact that clerics and dancers can summon for free makes this skill a little pointless. The only thing Tressa has going for her is the ability to use wind magic. Wind damage is the only elemental magic that scholars lack. It makes more sense to have Therion in your team with Tressa's secondary job of merchant. If you do this, then you will be able to unlock chests, use wind magic attacks such as Trade Winds and Trade Tempest, providing valuable support to your scholar. Merchants also have the ability to rest to restore your own HP, SP and status ailments. The merchant secondary job can be found on Moonstruck Coast at the Shrine of the Trader, and the thief job is in the Shrine of the Prince of Thieves in South Quarrycrest Pass. This is a good day for battle. Hanit the Hunter and Alberic the Warrior can perform dueling path actions that enable battles with NPCs. That can allow you access to guarded buildings, prove your valour, and grants experience for winning. Alberic's path action of Challenge is considered noble, whereas Hanit's Provoke path action is deemed rogue. Both characters are very strong team members, but I personally prefer Alberic to be in my A team, with Hunter as a secondary job. Unfortunately, individual talents for characters are not attached to character jobs, so Hanit's talent Beast Lore that allows you to capture and summon beasts will not transfer to Alberic. However, it is worth the sacrifice. Ulrich's talent is Bolster Defense, which sounds boring compared to Hanet's beast taming ability, but it enables a boost while defending to protect against the mightiest of blows. As a warrior, Ulrich has some excellent attacks, such as Thousand Spears, which attacks enemies 5 to 10 times with a polearm. His passive skills support strength and defense, most notably Surpassing Power, which increases the amount of damage that can be dealt to a maximum of 99,999. The Hunter secondary job greatly complements the warrior job with its attack and passive skills, focusing more on attacking first, attacking twice, critical hits, and attacking foes several times in the same turn. Although Hanet is a worthy contender for my A team for her Beast Law talent alone, Ulbrich's skills have much more value. Alongside his surpassing skill, Ulbrich can also use Endure to enhance defense when inflicted with a status ailment. He can absorb damage for all allies using Protect, and his Summon Strength ability increases his physical attack by 50. Furthermore, if you complete Ulbrich's questline, you gain an accessory that increases the amount of experience you gain through battles. Couple this with some cape farming and you can easily level up characters fast. The Hunter secondary job shrine, the Shrine of the Huntress, is found in East Victor's Hollow Trail, and the warrior's The Shrine of the Thunderblade is in North Stoneguard Pass. So, to surmise, if you create your dream team by having Cyrus as a scholar and apothecary, Ophelia as a cleric and dancer, Therion as a thief and merchant, and Ulbrich as a warrior and hunter, your team will have all the bases covered and some impressive talents, attacks and passive skills. There are other perfectly viable variations when it comes to assigning secondary jobs. For example, Tressa can become a very powerful mage in her own right if assigned scholar as a secondary job. Alfin makes a great cleric due to his ability to concoct healing items. You could also put Therion in your B team and simply enlist him in towns to steal items. It's entirely up to you and your preferred playstyle. Personally, I do prefer to assign secondary jobs based on ensuring I have an A team and a B team who both have all path actions and battle capabilities covered, which ensures no shortfall and evenly spreads my battle offensive. I am aware that there are 4 additional secret job shrines that allow you to unlock secondary jobs for your characters that are unavailable as primary jobs. However, with danger levels of 50 and above, you will spend a large portion of the game unable to access these shrines, so best to plan your perfect party around the primary jobs and the secondary jobs that are more easily accessible. I hope this video helped you to form your perfect setup in this fantastic game. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with my dream team setup or if you have found it better to assign secondary jobs elsewhere. Also, let me know your thoughts on Octopath Traveler 2. I've been Heather at Amalgamingle and thank you very much for watching.